The 11th Dimensional Reset, How Pole Shift and Crustal Displacement Wrote the Epic of the Noahic Flood. The central purpose of this channel is to find the secret language of the universe. We have mapped the hidden infrastructure of reality, the 11 dimensions, from the limitless potential of the zero dimension, 0D, to the unifying force of the 11th dimension, 11D. We have discovered that the cosmos is governed by structure, balance, and flow. Today, we confront a catastrophic event that transcends both science and mythology, the Noahic Flood. The universal presence of global flood myths, from the Hebrew Bible's Noah to the Babylonian Epic of Gilgamesh, is not a series of shared coincidences. It is the collective cultural memory of a planetary trauma. The question is not if a global cataclysm occurred, but what kind of physics could unleash a wave vast enough to scour the entire planet, deposit continental-spanning sediment layers, and abruptly end an entire era of life. At the 11-dimensional model, the universal Tao, we assert that the Noahic Flood was the result of a dimensional instability, a catastrophic failure of the Earth's 10th dimensional deterministic structure, immediately corrected by the unifying, non-linear reset mandated by the 11th dimension. The mechanism of this cataclysm is the Earth Crustal Displacement, ECD, hypothesis, a violent, rapid shift of the planet's entire solid outer shell. Part 1. The myth, the geology, and the dimensional problem. The challenge of the flood is reconciling mythological scale with geological evidence. The problem cannot be solved by incremental change. It requires a theory of cataclysmic, non-linear time. The universal memory of trauma. The universality of the flood narrative is its most compelling feature. Accounts from Mesopotamia, the Americas and Asia all share striking similarities: a devastating global inundation, the warning to a single family, and the survival in an ark. While details vary, the Babylonian Gilgamesh ark was a deadly cube shape. The shared core event suggests a physical phenomenon of planetary scale. The geological evidence for catastrophe. Conventional geology relies on uniformitarianism, the idea that geological processes occur slowly over immense timescales. However, certain geological features defy this slow model and require a catastrophic mechanism. Vast sediment layers. Vast sediment layers are found spreading across continents, evidence that water covered the continents in the past. Even more dramatically, rapid deposits of fossil-bearing sediment layers stretch across many, or most, continents at the same time. Monoclines and folds. Immense features like the Kaibab Plateau and the East Kaibab monocline in the Grand Canyon show layers of solid rock bent and folded, indicating that the bending occurred before the layers had fully hardened. This suggests a rapid, immense, global tectonic event while the sediments were still saturated and pliable. Fossil trackways. The existence of massive dinosaur footprints in layers well below where their body fossils are found suggests that the animals left tracks on temporarily exposed surfaces before they were swept away and buried in subsequent surges of water. These signatures require a single global event of immense scale and velocity, a sudden system-wide failure of Earth's crustal stability. The hypothesis, Earth Crustal Displacement, ECD. The only mechanism proposed to explain such an immediate global shift is the Earth Crustal Displacement, ECD hypothesis, championed by Charles Hapgood. The core mechanism is not true polar wander, the slow, gradual shift of the pole over millions of years, but the rapid, catastrophic displacement of the entire solid shell of the planet, the mantle and crust, rotating around the liquid outer core. This displacement would move vast land masses from the equatorial zone to the polar zones, and vice versa. Part 2. The deterministic failure. The 10th dimension's breakdown. The Earth's immense stability is maintained by the deterministic force of the 10th dimension, 10D. The flood event represents the momentary failure of this force due to an internal imbalance. 10D, the mandate of inertia, Yang. The 10th dimension, 10D, is the massive expansive force of Yang that imposes a uniform structural law, the deterministic mandate of the universe. In the context of the Earth, this mandate requires the planet to achieve a state of minimum kinetic energy and maximum inertia relative to its rotation axis. The oblate constraint. The Earth is not a perfect sphere. It is an oblate spheroid. It bulges slightly at the equator due to its spin. The 10D deterministic mandate requires that the maximum mass of the planet must align precisely with the equatorial bulge. For the crust to move, it must overcome the immense inertia of the planet's oblate shape, which requires parts of the crust to tear and fold near the poles. The perturbation, polar imbalance. The deterministic system begins to fail when an external perturbation creates a stress too immense for the 10D to continuously compensate. Hapgood proposed that the massive accumulated polar ice mass would create an imbalance sufficient to throw the crust out of rotational equilibrium. The viscosity problem. The sudden movement requires the viscosity of the mantle beneath the crust to rapidly change, allowing the crust to slip. Scientific analysis confirms that the Earth's crust is not currently in perfect equilibrium with the whole Earth in terms of its moments of inertia. The trigger, the geomagnetic unlock. The final piece of the puzzle is the trigger, the moment the system unlocks. Geomagnetic reversal. The event may be triggered by a rapid geomagnetic reversal, the magnetic poles switching, which is known to cause the strength of the magnetic field to plummet. This drop in field strength could remove the magnetic lock between the crust and the mantle. Tidal forces. At this exact moment of weakness, the immense tidal forces of the Earth-Moon-Sun system seize the opportunity to displace the crust, forcing the entire solid shell to rotate around the liquid core to seek a new position of maximum inertial equilibrium. This is the catastrophic failure of the 10D's mandate. Part 3. The catastrophe. The 11th dimensional reset. The flood. The rapid catastrophic shift of the crust, the transition from the failed 10D state to the forced 11D alignment, is the physical mechanism that generated the global flood. The oceanic displacement. The core event of the flood is the immediate immense displacement of the oceans, the sloshing of the bulge. As the geographical pole violently shifts thousands of miles, the massive equatorial bulge, the highest sea levels, is suddenly moved to a new latitude. Areas that were once near the pole, low sea level, are violently moved toward the new equator, high sea level. The oceans, driven by rotational inertia, would slosh catastrophically. Global inundation. This process simultaneously causes areas to violently sink into the sea, catastrophic inundation for the civilizations now relocated to the new lower latitudes, and other areas to be raised up out of the water. The water would rise by thousands of feet in the newly equatorial zones, generating the global flood recorded in myth. Tectonic calamity and the geological signature. The sudden shift of the crust accounts for the rapid geological signatures found globally. Mountain building. The sheer strain of overcoming the Earth's oblate shape forces the crust to tear and fold violently, providing an answer for the problem of rapid mountain building. Continental sedimentation. The surging waters sweep vast amounts of sediment and detritus across the entire continental shelf, depositing rapidly formed, widespread layers and burying the organisms whose movement was dictated by the surge of the floodwaters. The event is so rapid that the tapete sandstone in the Grand Canyon is bent and folded before the rock has time to harden. 11D, the unifying force of transformation, Yin. This moment of violent destruction is the 11th dimension, 11D, imposing its ultimate law of unification and transformation. The massive corrective force of Yin that binds all reality. The Tao's reset. The 11D demands the system return to equilibrium. The flood is the Tao resetting the planetary clock, violently rearranging the external structure to achieve a new, stable alignment of minimum kinetic energy. The catastrophe is merely the inevitable, necessary, self-organized criticality required to maintain the physical integrity of the 11-dimensional manifold. Part 4. Conclusion. The crisis of certainty and the flow of the Tao. The flood, if understood as a cataclysmic pole shift, proves that the universe is governed by process, not stasis. The 4D prison of time. The inability of mainstream science to accept this mechanism stems from the 4D prison, the adherence to models of slow, linear time. The evidence, continental sediment, rapid folding, suggests catastrophic, non-linear time, a jump in the timeline that the 4D mind rejects. The scientific standoff is a dimensional conflict. The ultimate lesson? The final truth is that the Earth is not a fixed, stable rock. It is a dynamic system capable of massive, non-linear shifts. The universal memory of the flood is humanity's eternal warning. Never trust the illusion of stillness. Stability is not achieved through fixed being, but through fluid, continuous wu-wei, the constant adaptation to the flow of the Tao. The journey continues. Please like, subscribe, and especially share with those who resonate on your frequency.